Dr. Ethan Cross stood before the Zal'kari tribal council, holding a reinforced leash attached to a creature that made even the most battle-hardened warriors step back instinctively. Sentinel towered over them, all 6 limbs thick with corded muscle, armored hide glistening like obsidian in the settlement's firelight, jaws capable of crushing bone into powder. Princess Kirasith stared at the massive Rath'kar with wide eyes, her purple scales pale with shock. 8 months ago, she'd mocked Ethan for rescuing the helpless infant version of this apex predator. Now that infant had become a living weapon, and the human she dismissed as weak commanded it absolutely. The Zal'kari homeworld of Velanura was unforgiving jungle where strength determined everything. The reptilian Zal'kari warriors built their entire culture on physical dominance and combat prowess, respecting only those who could prove themselves through violence. Humans were tolerated as researchers, but viewed as soft-skinned weaklings unworthy of true respect. Ethan had arrived as a xenobiologist assigned to study the planet's apex predators, the Rath'kar, massive 6-limbed beasts that hunted in coordinated packs and were feared even by the mighty Zal'kari. 8 months ago, during a survey expedition, Ethan discovered an orphaned Rath'kar infant beside its mother's corpse, killed by territorial hunters. Against all protocol and amid constant Zal'kari mockery, he'd taken the creature in, raising it with scientific precision and genuine affection. Princess Kirasith, daughter of the tribal chieftain and embodiment of Zal'kari values, had ridiculed his pet project repeatedly, calling him foolish for wasting time on a creature that would either die weak or grow strong enough to kill him. She represented everything her culture believed: power through violence, respect earned through dominance alone. Ethan's motivation ran deeper than science. He'd lost his younger brother years ago to negligence, to people who simply didn't care enough to help when it mattered most. He'd sworn then never to abandon those who needed him, no matter how hopeless others judged the situation. Crisis erupted when a rogue Rath'kar pack, displaced by territorial conflicts, began attacking the Zal'kari settlement's outer perimeter. 3 warriors died in the initial attacks, 2 more suffered critical wounds. The tribe mobilized hunting parties immediately. But Rath'kar were nearly impossible to kill. Their armored hides deflected most weapons. Their pack tactics eliminated single-target advantages, and their ferocious strength made them nature's perfect killers. Kirasith led the primary hunting expedition, determined to prove her worthiness as future chieftain by bringing back the pack leader's head. The hunt went catastrophically wrong. The Rath'kar pack ambushed them deep in the jungle, using terrain advantage to separate the warriors systematically. Kirasith found herself isolated, cut off from her squad, surrounded by 3 full-grown predators circling with calculated menace. Her weapons proved insufficient. Her ceremonial spear shattered against armored hide. Her blade barely scratched their tough scales. She was wounded, blood streaming from deep claw marks across her shoulder, backed against a sheer cliff face with nowhere left to run. The Rath'kar closed in slowly, savoring their kill, recognizing her as prey despite her warrior training and proud heritage. Kirasith prepared to die with honor, refusing to beg or flee, but she knew death was inevitable and imminent. Then a roar split through the jungle canopy, different from the Rath'kar's hunting cries, carrying a tone of challenge mixed with controlled fury. Ethan emerged riding on Sentinel's broad back, the creature he'd raised from helpless infancy now grown massive and terrible. Sentinel matched the wild Rath'kar in sheer size and surpassed them in controlled, directed aggression. The wild pack paused, confused by seeing one of their kind bearing a human rider, unable to process this impossible alliance. Ethan positioned himself directly between Kirasith and the circling predators. The wounded princess watched in complete disbelief as the weak human she'd mocked for months commanded a creature of absolute lethality with subtle hand signals and verbal cues. The wild Rath'kar didn't retreat. They recognized Ethan as prey, easy to dispatch once they eliminated his mount. They attacked. The Alpha lunged first. Sentinel met the charge with devastating force, jaws clamping down on the attacker's neck, 6 powerful limbs grappling in brutal display. But Sentinel fought with something the wild pack completely lacked: discipline and strategic thinking. Learned through months of patient training with Ethan, the human didn't flee or show fear. He stood absolutely firm, holding only a neural training prod. When the second Rath'kar tried flanking Sentinel to reach Ethan directly, something ancient activated in the human's brain. Ethan released a guttural roar, not words or language, but pure mammalian threat display, the same primal sound his ancestors used against Earth's megafauna. He charged the attacking predator with his training prod extended like a primitive spear, his entire body language screaming aggression instead of fear. The Rath'kar hesitated, deeply confused by prey that behaved like predator. In that critical moment of hesitation, Sentinel broke free and intercepted, driving the second attacker back with bone-crushing impact. The third Rath'kar, recognizing pack advantage lost and facing organized resistance, made the survival calculation all predators understand instinctively: this prey cost too much. The wild pack retreated, dragging their wounded Alpha. Ethan didn't pursue. He turned calmly to Kirasith, extended his hand. She stared at it, her entire worldview crumbling. This soft, weak human had just commanded nature itself. Ethan helped Kirasith onto Sentinel's back, the predator allowing her presence solely because Ethan commanded it. The journey back was silent, the princess processing everything she'd witnessed. When they arrived, the entire tribe saw their princess carried by the human's predator, saw wild Rath'kar blood on Sentinel's jaws. Ethan reported to the chieftain with clinical precision, asking nothing in return. But Kirasith spoke up, doing something unprecedented. She acknowledged life debt. In Zal'kari culture, admitting debt to someone you'd mocked brought profound shame, but she told the truth. The human saved her, commanding a creature she'd called useless. The chieftain recognized what Ethan accomplished. He hadn't just raised a predator, he'd formed a bond transcending species, proving strength wasn't only combat prowess but connection, understanding, and mutual respect. The tribe's attitude shifted dramatically. Warriors who'd mocked him now watched with wary respect. Kirasith, bound by honor, offered formal acknowledgement of warrior status. Ethan declined the title. He simply did what anyone should: protect those needing protection, whether orphan creatures or stranded warriors. Weeks later, Ethan continued research while Zal'kari warriors sought his knowledge about forming bonds with dangerous creatures. Kirasith visited regularly, not from obligation but genuine curiosity about human perspectives on strength. She admitted her culture taught that strength meant dominance through violence. But Ethan demonstrated something different: strength through connection, through refusing to abandon the vulnerable, through standing firm when retreat seemed easier. Sentinel remained at Ethan's side, living proof of what happened when care replaced conquest. The Zal'kari began understanding that humanity's strength wasn't physical power but something more profound: the capacity to form bonds across impossible divides, to nurture potential in the abandoned, to transform vulnerability into alliance. Wild Rath'kar packs avoided the settlement now, recognizing one of their own stood with the tribe. Ethan reflected on his brother's memory, finally at peace knowing he hadn't abandoned someone who needed him. Humanity's greatest power was turning the helpless into the mighty.